Hello, kia ora, I'm Philip Duncan. Thanks for joining us for our Tuesday update for February the 21st. Sorry we weren't here yesterday. I've actually had laryngitis for the past few days and couldn't speak, so I couldn't do a video yesterday even if I wanted to. Voices, thankfully, mostly back today. Let's get into the forecast because unfortunately more rain is on the way for Hawke's Bay. We're going to talk about that in a moment. Before it arrives, there's a southerly change coming. This is the animated wind map for later on today. You can see that southerly change coming into the South Island. The temperatures are dropping behind it. That's the green shading, whereas the red shading ahead of it into the late 20s, maybe 30 degrees. So you've got more than 10 degrees being shaved off your highs as this southerly comes in, all around this big high. And by the way, this big high producing temperatures 40 to 45 degrees across a large portion of inland Australia at the moment. A little bit cooler on the eastern side with that easterly breeze. And up in the tropics, good to say, no tropical storms. Let's have a look at the temperature change. So here is the departure from normal. Today's maximum temperatures, how much warmer are they compared to what has been historically recorded at this time of year? So it's a good way to gauge whether or not you've got a real cold front or not. Look at this, over 8 degrees above normal for this shaded area here for today, Tuesday, versus tomorrow, Wednesday, where that same area is more than 8 degrees below average. That is a big jump, 16-degree jump for some areas inland. Daytime highs of 11 and 13 and 14, quite different to the late 20s you're seeing there. So definitely a change in temperatures coming for the South Island. The North Island doesn't really feel it till about Thursday, and that's when that rain starts to move northwards. Here's the rain for the next 2 days. So this is mostly about the South Island from Tuesday morning through till Thursday morning. Heaviest rain through the Southern Alps up here, where you're talking about 70 or 80 millimetres. And guess what? Some of that's going to fall as snow, above 1,000 metres. Did someone say autumn? Because autumn is showing up. Temperatures in the very south will be down, but you do get rain with it. So that's the good news. It is very dry in Southland. So you're going to get around 30 to 40 millimetres, hopefully, across the next few days. Some of you might only get half of that because of the way the hills line up in front of you, but it's a better forecast that we've seen for a while for many parts of Southland and Otago and South Canterbury, which are all quite dry at the moment. Now, this map doesn't show much for the North Island, so this is the map that does. Unfortunately, we are seeing here in parts of Hawke's Bay, not the Hawke's Bay, Hawke's Bay, we're seeing totals of 60 to 80 millimetres at this stage. Now this map is one from America. I've seen the European ones and the UK ones. They all move around a little bit, but they're basically saying we've got more rain coming later this week. And it's going to be in that zone where it's potentially getting up to rain warning criteria. We'll have to wait to see what Met Service do. Now the good news is this is nothing like the rain you've just had. Absolutely nothing like it. But it's just another risk of more slips. Probably is the biggest problem with getting more rain on top of the rain that's just fallen. It's unlikely to flood many rivers, but worth keeping a very close eye on because of the fact that the ground is so unstable. So this is the rain accumulation map, Tuesday to Friday. Most of this is around about Thursday and going into Friday as well. Go to ruralweather.co.nz to drill down deeper on those rainfall totals. So here is the forecast. Lunchtime Wednesday, that front moving up the South Island. Behind it, the colder southerlies, your temperatures dropping. And remember, it's all going around that big high. That's slowly on its way. Dry for Hawke's Bay, Gisborne, Waiata Upper, Bay of Plenty. Northland, Northland's not getting the same coverage that Hawke's Bay is getting, but Northland got really hit by Gabrielle as well. So good weather up there at the moment for the dry out. Even on Thursday, it's still pretty good up around the far north and parts of Northland, but that messy sort of system comes in. So this is really the southerly coming up. Now it's a southeasterly or even due east, but it's technically a southerly. You'll feel the temperatures drop. So it's going to be a colder day for you around the eastern side of New Zealand, and the rain starts to kind of feed in. So cold in the South Island, especially along the east with a bit of wet weather, but most of that rain is up, unfortunately, around Hawke's Bay at this stage. Worth keeping a close eye on those totals. It could still move around a bit, but you see it's kind of stuck for a couple of days. Wet southeasterlies, cold, temperatures down, not the best weather. We said yesterday in a news story that a little bit of rain is good, but this might be just a little bit beyond good. It could cause, as I say, more slips and just muddy areas with some of the roads that are perhaps driving through silt that silt could turn back to mud again. So it's more about that than it is about the risk of sort of flash floods and having that problem return again. So a wet end to the week, but we do have this high nearby. And as we go through into Saturday, the wet weather up here does fall apart. The pale blue is an indicator of showers more than rain setting in. So it might be a bit cloudy and a bit gloomy, but the rainfall totals do drop quite a bit on Saturday for most parts of the east coast. High pressure over the South Island, mostly dry for the cleanup in Auckland and Northland and parts of Coromandel Peninsula. So that's good news for you. No sign of any storms up in the tropics. There's a bit of low pressure up there. We've got a new story on our site about that, so you don't get too worried about it at this stage. We're not talking about any storms. We are focused on high pressure down in the New Zealand area and a small area of wet weather and low pressure just to the east, which is just going to be hanging around a wee bit into the weekend, but better to be seeing it going southwards than it is to see it stuck there around Hawke's Bay. So some bad news this week, but it's not all bad. And we do have high pressure coming back in around it. It's not all going to be raining non-stop. We've still got plenty of dry weather coming through for New Zealand as we go into March, despite the tropics being quite active. That is all from me for now. We'll see you again on Wednesday with our next update. Thank you so much for all the incredible comments we've read. And thank you so much to everybody who has donated to the Red Cross Fund. You'll find the link on our homepage at weatherwatch.co.nz. See you tomorrow.